So, as you heard there, Danny Welbeck's late looping header, great header it was, rescued a point for Brighton as they denied their rivals Crystal Palace a victory in South London. They were aiming just for their second home win. Crystal Palace didn't go their way, and as pointed out, it was a late header, and it was, 8 minutes away from a victory. But it's the fifth time in a row this fixture at Selhurst Park has now ended in a 1-1 draw. The Eagles still only have one home victory, as I was saying, but the point did at least end the club's 4-match losing run at home. They currently sit 15th in the table. That's just 6 points above the relegation zone. And the former Spurs midfielder Jamie O'Hara thinks it might be time to move on for Roy Hodgson.
No winning 7. Yep. Now, look, there's some decent managers out there available at the moment, and I think they're getting a bit tired of him. And I think people might start thinking, should we just make a change? They're not going to go down this season, right? They've only got 18 points from 18 games. Not really acceptable for a team who keep talking about wanting to, progress. And they can progress. They've been in the Premier League now for a long time. And they're seeing teams who ain't been in the Premier League for a long time playing better than them, better managers, better football, better players. And do you think maybe they need to move on from it?
I wouldn't do anything yet. I wouldn't make a change just yet. I don't.
I know he's your mate. I know you like Roy, and we all like Roy.
I'm not. I'm not Roy's mate. I just don't see the point in making a change right now.
Okay, so that is...
I'm probably with Jason now. I want to make a change. I think he's too experienced, Roy, to... I can see what Jamie's saying, because it is the same old same, and you've had supporters come on and say, look, we can read it like a book. What happens is they get the first goal, they sit back and try and see the game out. But yesterday, Brighton got back into it. But for me, I think it'd be the summer where they change managers. They got a good look to get the right man in for Palace's point of view, but I don't think they're going to do it now. I think Roy is so experienced, and he will get enough points to keep Palace in the Premier League, which is the most important thing.
Should say they're 9 points clear of the relegation zone. I said 6 earlier, but it's 9. And Steve Parish tends to be quite a loyal man when it comes to his managers, but there is a name that's started to have sort of been linked because of what happened this week. Steve Cooper.
Yeah, Steve Cooper.
Could you see him being a good fit?
Yeah, I could see him coming into Palace, definitely. But I don't think they're going to make that move now.
No,
I don't think they need to make that move now. The good news for Elise, obviously, is their big threat on the right hand side. The good news from last night, Palace's point of view, is Eze. He's obviously back now. He missed a few games. He's a very important player in that midfield area. But I do think they'll have enough. Where they're sitting at the moment, is that roughly where you expect Palace to sit? Maybe a little bit higher, maybe one or two places. But if you look at the points, above them are Bournemouth, Wolves, 19, which is Brentford as well. So there's only a point.
That's
so
true.
one win, you can move up 3 or 4 places if the other teams go lose their game. So that's how competitive it is in that little bit there. If you said to me, where do you think Palace are going to finish at the start of the season, I would have said in mid-table of the bottom half. That's what I would have said.
Yeah, which is kind of where they're...
Roughly where they are.
But as you say, they're not that far off the top 10, in all fairness. Was it 4 points, something like that? So, it's not...
They had that brilliant win last week. They've got to turn these draws into wins, though. That's the difficult bit. And Brighton, they made a really bad mistake first goal from the keeper's point of view. Took advantage of that. Then they sort of sat back Palace a little bit, and Brighton were probably the better team in the second half, and probably deserved the equaliser. It's a season where Brighton, you can argue they've had a decent start, because these are the sort of games you expect Brighton to maybe win, but they're doing well in the Europe, which is their first season, and I think Brighton fans are still very, very happy how it's all going, because some of the business they do every single season is always brilliant, and that's probably where they should be at the moment.
With Brighton, they're going through a sort of inconsistent spell. We've seen it, and I think even Roberto De Zerbi earlier on this season mentioned that it's been... How did he put it? Not tricky, but trying to have another competition to play in, like they're having with Europe.
It was more difficult.
Yeah, it's a period of adjustment that they're going through, really, and maybe that's why it's impacting a few of their results. But what we have seen as well now is that they have gone a club record 22 successive league games without keeping a clean sheet. You mentioned the error from their keeper, Barbara Bruggen. They have a habit of swapping their goalkeepers. And not having a recognised number one. And of course, a lot was made out of what Mikel Arteta did when David Raya moved to Arsenal. But it seems as though he's settled on Raya, even though he's not come out and said he's my number one. Do you think that is an issue for a team, really, when you are swapping as regularly as they're doing at Brighton?
I really do. And it's not for probably the midfield or the strikers. It's more the defence. You know who's behind you. You know how he deals with certain situations.
It's that communication.
I played in a team that always, if your keeper was fit, he plays. He's not our number one, and that's it. Davy Seaman, Jens Lehmann, very, very much. You expected them in goal, and you knew what to expect out of the goalkeepers every week. I'm not saying if they keep swapping them, they ain't going to do a good job. But I don't think you. For me, tinkering with the back four is a little bit dangerous as well at times, because you can get understandings together. You know when to push up, when to drop off. You understand your partner alongside you, how he plays a little bit more, and you might have to cover him at times. But if you keep changing the personnel, I don't think that helps. Going forward wise, you can tinker with the wide areas maybe at times and strikers, but I really would believe if you've got a solid back four, back five, I call them, keep it. If they're fit, keep playing them. Simple as that.
talkSPORT Breakfast, waking you up Monday to Friday morning from 6 a.m. on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.